Good evening. Am I audible?
Good evening, sir.
So let us start the final session. So when we started this Prahar series, in 10-15 days, we had to revise the entire mains syllabus along with current affairs. So I think we were able to do some justice to it, definitely. So we did poverty and developmental issues. We did international relations. We did science and technology. We did 2 sessions on ethics, integrity, and aptitude. Then we did agriculture and allied sector. Then we did internal security and we saw the air defense system, Operation Sindoor, new normal. Then we did the stakeholders of development, where we comprehensively covered NGOs, SHGs, role of civil services in democracy. Then uh, we did economic issues arising out of development, where we did inequality, inclusive growth, sustainable development, unemployment. Now, today's idea is to do static polity, geography, environment, and disaster management revision. What is the agenda that we will be covering today? Is my screen visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, what we seek to cover today, especially the sequence, is important because it is going to be a long class. So, we will begin with something which you are less familiar with, something which you will enjoy more, and something where you will learn more. So, that is disaster management. Now, initially, I had planned to also give you the disaster management framework, the rules, the Disaster Management Act, then the National Disaster Management Plan, National Policy on Disaster Management. However, all the three frameworks, HIGO, Sendai. So, however, we'll have to restrict ourselves to the disaster that may be asked this year, that is Stampede. And additionally, we will be doing the role of social media during disasters. Okay. So we'll start the session with disaster management, 2 topics. Role of media in disaster and disaster due to mass gathering or stampede. Then from disaster management, I'll move the class to more familiar topic. Very quickly, we will be revising very important topics of polity, including transformative constitution, then issues related to judiciary, especially removal of judges, with respect to parliament, parliamentary system, and comparison with some other countries, and with respect to the executive, the office of president slash governor. Then from polity, we will move to geography. Here, I'll be taking important topics from all subsections of geography. So, for example, in climatology, although there are many important topics that we could have revised, then however, I'll be revising jet streams. Although I wanted to revise heat budget, I wanted to revise temperature inversion, but jet stream is one topic where people have a lot of confusion in climatology. So we'll try to revise very quickly jet stream. Then in oceanography, ocean current and its impact. Then one or two more other topics of climatology. For example, in climatology, it is very significant for you to know uh, about monsoon and its characteristics. Many times UPSC asks questions on characteristics of monsoon. Then from geomorphology, we'll try to revise obviously continental drift theory and plate tectonics. I think if time permits, we may do salinity, and if time permits, we'll do some more topics, but we'll come back to it only after we have done the last topic, that is environment. And in environment, we will be talking about environment sustainability. I will give you a brief idea about EIA, which is mentioned in your syllabus, environment impact assessment. Then I'll give you an idea how you should revise environment. For example, अगर हम लैंड ले ले तो उसके क्या क्या डायमेंशंस को हमको रिवाइज करना है, एयर ले ले तो क्या क्या डायमेंशंस को रिवाइज करना है. सो ऑल द 4 डायमेंशंस, लैंड, एयर, water and soil, from sustainability perspective, we will be doing that. Although I had planned to revise coral reefs, mangroves, their conservation, etc., but because of paucity of time, we might not be able to do that, and pollution, etc. But definitely environment sustainability, EIA, we will be doing, and in detail we will be doing COP for climate from current. So that this is the agenda we have set for today. It is a huge target, but in the next 3 to 4 hours, we'll be able to do it very, very comprehensively. This is almost like 100 marks or even more from various parts of your syllabus. Okay, so let us start with disaster management. One of you can confirm if my screen is visible.
Yes, sir, visible.
Yes, sir.
Oh. So before we come to disaster due to mass gathering, just indulge me for 2 minutes on what is disaster, what you may write in introduction of disaster, what is the difference between hazard and disaster. That definition part, that will definitely be helpful for you. So hazard is a geophysical phenomena that has the propensity to cause large scale disruption. When hazard involves element of vulnerability and along with preparedness, that is the propensity to interact with human beings, it becomes a disaster. As per the definition by UNISDR, hazard is the dangerous phenomena, human activity that makes causes loss of life, injury, and other health impacts, etc. That is the definition of hazard. The definition of disaster. So one diagram you can make: disaster is equal to hazard into vulnerability upon preparedness. Disaster Management Act says that it is a catastrophe, mishap, calamity, grave occurrence in areas arising from natural and man-made causes or by accident, negligence, which results in substantial loss of life, property, damage, and degradation beyond the coping of the with local resources, or which is beyond the coping of the local community. सो डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट एक्ट का डेफिनेशन क्या है? एक कैटेस्ट्रॉफी है, मिसहैप है, which is because of natural or man-made causes. It may be accidental or due to negligence. It leads to substantial loss of life, destruction of property, damage, and degradation beyond the coping potential of the local community. So this is the basic definition of disaster. There is a difference also given. You can look at the material with the difference between hazard and disaster management, and the difference between disaster management and disaster risk management. These two are also very very significant कि disaster management और disaster risk management दोनों में क्या फर्क है. Okay, you can also, in the same article I have discussed about the various frameworks for disaster management in India. So there is the Disaster Management Act. So there is the Disaster Management Act. What is its objective? What are its important provisions? What are the proposed amendment, and what are the institutions created? Then there is the National Disaster Management Plan and the National Disaster Management Policy. What are its framework, main pillars, objectives, institutions, and conclusion के लिए जो है हम Prime Minister's 10-point plan, Prime Minister's 10-point agenda for disaster risk reduction, इस parts को जो है please revise through this notes. Okay, now let us come. This was not the agenda, but we have to just set up disaster due to mass gathering. उसके लिए एक second हमने लगाया कि disaster होता क्या है. Now disaster due to mass gathering, introduction, data, what are the causes, what is the NDMA guideline on management of such disasters, then what are the legislations, case study, Upahar case, Hathras. You may also write the Bengaluru RCB case and best practice. See, I have taken this topic. This has become important because of the RCB case disaster, because of the Mahakumbh disaster, because of the Hathras stampede. This Hathras stampede was very very avoidable. Okay, so introduction. Recently there have been recurring stampedes at places of mass gathering, including religious places, railway stations, sports, social political events. That has become a great concern because of population explosion, lack of urbanization, and lot of people visiting these places, and limited development of public infrastructure. So introduction mein you can talk about the recent cases where there have been cases of disasters due to mass gathering. Now there is a table that you can draw for crowd management. अभी हम causes पे बाद में आएंगे, लेकिन एक इससे related एक table आप जरूर बना सकते हैं. That table will be definitely useful. Just give me a second. So this diagram please draw in your way forward or solution. For crowd management, you have to determine what is the type of event, whether it is a religious event, whether it is a mela or festival, whether it is a sports event, whether it is a political event. What is the crowd expected? So what will be their age, what will be gender, more women are, or will there be more women and children? What is the region from which they are coming, economic strata that they are coming, will there be more cars, will there be parking issues, and education, will they be able to follow directions? Then crowd motive. So it is religious, economic, entertainment, political, social. So these are the three planning things that you will be undergoing as an administrator for crowd management. Plus you will be very concerned about your venue, what is its location, whether it is temporary or permanent, whether it is open or confined, what is its overall capacity, and then the various stakeholders. स्टेक होल्डर्स में लोकल शॉप ओनर्स, आपने अभी देखा कि देयर इज लॉट ऑफ वीडियोस ऑफ क्रिटिसिज्म ऑफ लोकल शॉप ओनर्स इन वेरियस religious places. Then residents of that neighborhood, NGOs, local administration. This is one diagram that you will be drawing in a question with respect to disaster due to mass gathering. Now let us understand the causes why there is stampede. Now henceforth I will not refer to it as disaster due to mass gathering, I will simply refer to it as stampede. So there are structural causes and there are non structural causes. Structural causes क्या है? जो बैरिकेड रेलिंग वगैरह लगी रहती है, it is not proper, it is slippery, muddy, difficult terrain. Okay, then many times this stampede happens or these kind of disasters happen because of fire. For example, fire in a makeshift facility, electrical short circuit, poor electrical connections, there is lack of entry and exit points. This creates confusion. आने जाने का रास्ता जो है दोनों सेम है, it creates huge pressure. So these are structural causes. Non structural causes क्या है? Crowd control, more than anticipated crowd. आपका मान लीजिए इवेंट था 100 लोगों का और वहां पर आ गए हैं 50,000 लोग, obviously there will be a stampede. This was the case, for example, for Mahakumbh, especially on the Sahi Snan day. Everybody wanted to come and take snan on that day. It was beyond the capacity of the administration to do anything about it. So lack of proper holding capacity, lack of proper emergency exit, unplanned and uncontrolled traffic, then crowd behavior also. So there is wild rush to force their way. That is why education is very important, entry exit etc. फ्री डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन, कहीं पर भी अगर कुछ फ्री में मिल रहा होगा वहां पर जो है स्टैम्पीड हो जाएगा. ग्लिम्स ऑटोग्राफ ऑफ सेलिब्रिटी होली पिक्चर्स, जो हाथरस हुआ था, that was because everybody wanted to touch the feet or the dust of the holy preacher. Okay, security, there is lack of adequate planning, SOPs follow nahi ho rahe, standard operating procedures, they were not being followed. Lack of adequate observation towers, there was lack of adequate CCTV, lack of proper wireless deployment etc. Now there is a diagram which we will see again, and the NDMA guidelines for crowd management. NDMA ने भी structural measures दिया है, NDMA ने non structural measures भी दिया है. Structural measures में क्या है कि प्रॉपर इंफॉर्मेशन मैनेजमेंट सिस्टम होना चाहिए. माइक से आप पब्लिक अनाउंस करते रहेंगे कि भाई आप यहाँ पर मत रहिए, आगे बढ़ते रहिए, प्लीज डू नॉट क्राउड हियर, प्लीज डू नॉट स्टैंड हियर. देयर शुड बी अ पब्लिक अनाउंसमेंट सिस्टम. देयर शुड बी साइनेज, मतलब आने जाने का साइनेज लिखा हो, प्रॉपर डायरेक्शंस वगैरह हो, इवन इन लोकल लैंग्वेज. देयर शुड बी इवेंट रूट, emergency entry maps. Okay, there should be emergency medical camp facility, ambulances on hold by, fire safety management hona chahiye. There should be enough fire extinguishers, firefighters, fire safety protocols should be followed. There should be CCTV monitoring, use of mini UAVs, proper waste segregation etc. should be there. बाद में क्या होता है कि वो जगह को भी आप कूड़ादान बना देते हैं, that is also a disaster. भले लोग नहीं मरे बट वहां का इन्वायरमेंट मर जाता है. Okay, then there is non-structural measures. For example, you analyze the risk, identify the visitors, then analyze their crowd profile. Then what is the transportation and traffic management? Is there trained cadre of volunteers? Is there sensitization among them? Is there coordination of all stakeholders, especially event managers, security personnel, CCTV surveillance and volunteers? Is there a total approach? And the model that you will be using, यहाँ से लोग एंटर कर रहे होंगे, आप कुछ लोगों को यहीं पे रोकेंगे, then you will be doing a registration process, तो थोड़े से लोग यहाँ पे रुकेंगे, then there will be a holding area, from there they will be going to the venue, from here they will be made to exit fast on a separate route on the exit, so that never there is pressure at one particular point, there is proper एंट्री एग्जिट गाइडलाइंस. ओके, अगर हम केस स्टडी देखें तो उपहार सिनेमा में एक तो ट्रांसफॉर्मर था जो फॉल्टी था, जिसमें आग लग गई. सो देयर वाज द हाई कोर्ट फाउंड आउट दिल्ली विद्युत बोर्ड टू बी रिस्पॉन्सिबल. देन दिल्ली पुलिस और एमसीडी ने रिपीटेड इनको परमिट्स दे दिए थे. सो इट वाज अ केस ऑफ करप्शन ऑल्सो. despite them making alterations in the structure, not following the guidelines. MCD and Delhi police had given परमिशन. देन सिनेमा ओनर्स ने भी जो एक एग्जिट था वहां पर कुछ अनऑथराइज्ड कंस्ट्रक्शन बना दिया था, जिससे कि 59 लोग जो है एसएफएक्सिएशन से, लैक ऑफ ऑक्सीजन से मर गए, और 103 लोग जो है बाहर निकलने में घायल हो गए. Okay, similarly there is the Hathras stampede case given. With respect to legislations, there is the Disaster Management Act, which talks about section 23 and 24, power to control and restrict vehicular and human traffic. Indian Police Act allow करता है residents of neighborhood to act as special police officers during disturbance. There is also the UP Model Act. Best practice में श्री माता वैष्णो देवी श्राइन बोर्ड has provided for insurance cover against any accidental casualty for those who have taken the holy pilgrimage. So that is all about disaster due to mass gathering. Now what is the role of एक है कि ऐसे disasters में technology का, media का क्या role है. This you can use as a generic also. What is the role of technology in disaster management? What is the role of media in disaster management? अगर कहीं नहीं मिलेगा आपको तो इसको essay और ethics में लिखने को जरूर मिलेगा. In your case studies and in essay, अगर डायरेक्टली मान लीजिए GS3 में सवाल नहीं आता तो यहाँ तो आप डेफिनेटली यूज कर पाएंगे. सो प्लीज फोकस. GIS रिमोट सेंसिंग को यूज करेंगे हम फॉर अर्ली वार्निंग, रिस्क वल्नरेबिलिटी मैपिंग. देन रेडियो एंड टेलीविजन फॉर इंफॉर्मेशन ब्रॉडकास्टिंग. रेडियो फ्रीक्वेंसी आइडेंटिफिकेशन, RFID फॉर रजिस्ट्रेशन ऑफ विजिटर्स, लाइव ट्रैकिंग. लिडार टेक्नोलॉजी फॉर रियल टाइम क्राउड मैनेजमेंट. पब्लिक अनाउंसमेंट सिस्टम, so to prevent disinformation or rumor from spreading. Emergency lighting and alarm for search and rescue. Space-based sensors for insurance processing and compensation, plus use of CCTV and drones. Interactive communication displays which are guiding the people where you should be going, etc. So this is the role of technology. Now what is the role of media? तो एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है सीड्स एशिया करके, दैट हैज क्लासिफाइड द रोल ऑफ मीडिया बिफोर, ड्यूरिंग एंड आफ्टर द डिजास्टर. सो मीडिया का बिफोर अ डिजास्टर क्या रोल होना चाहिए, मीडिया का ड्यूरिंग अ डिजास्टर क्या रोल होना चाहिए, मीडिया का आफ्टर अ डिजास्टर क्या रोल होना चाहिए, एंड व्हाट शुड बी द कंडक्ट फॉर रिपोर्टिंग ऑन मास गैदरिंग. Especially this was in context of 26/11 attack. Supreme Court asked प्रेस काउंसिल ऑफ इंडिया टू गिव गाइडलाइंस. तो अगर मान लीजिए इस साल सवाल ये आता है व्हाट इज द रोल ऑफ मीडिया इन डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट, डेफिनेटली राइट सीड्स एशिया. वरना रोल ऑफ मीडिया आप जो है ऐसे में जरूर यूज करें एज अ डायमेंशन. अगर कोई डिजास्टर पे ऐसे आता है या मीडिया पे ऐसे आता है तो रोल ऑफ मीडिया इन डिजास्टर, डेफिनेटली राइट दैट. तो बिफोर अ डिजास्टर मीडिया क्या करेगी, इन्वेस्टिगेटिव जर्नलिज्म करके इट विल ब्रिंग टू द अटेंशन ऑफ अथॉरिटीज द पोटेंशियल सोर्स ऑफ डिजास्टर, कि भाई यहां पर डिजास्टर हो सकता है, दिस इज अ डिजास्टर दैट इज बाउंड टू हैपन, दैट मीडिया कैन ब्रिंग टू द लाइमलाइट. Then they can keep a watch on law and order situation and report any potential crowd disaster. वो ये भी रिपोर्ट कर सकते हैं कि यहाँ पर लॉ एंड ऑर्डर का कंसर्न होने वाला है. ठीक है. मीडिया ऑल्सो पब्लिशेस रिसर्च पेपर्स, जर्नल्स, फॉर एग्जाम्पल साइंस एंड डाउन टू अर्थ. It is also informative and infotainment program for creating awareness about hazards, natural wildlife, etc. So before a disaster, media will be basically making awareness about the disaster in prevention of the disaster. During a disaster, media will be broadcasting accurate information to prevent rumor and panic. Can advertise do's and don'ts to contain the effects of a disaster. Media can highlight the deficiencies in rescue and relief operation. It can facilitate resource mobilization. जैसे मान लीजिए a hit for Hayati or for Kerala disaster campaign was done by media for donors, for charitable institutions. Such kind of crowdfunding initiatives can be done by media. Then establish emergency contact between family and friends. After a disaster, media will bring accountability in rehabilitation effort. They will be investigating the case of cause of disaster. क्यों हुआ disaster? And the lessons learned, very important. This lessons learned is a very important aspect of disaster risk resilience. आपको हर disaster से सीखना है कि ये दोबारा repeat ना हो. Then bring about cases of corruption, administrative and policy excesses. Then what should be their code of conduct? So Supreme Court in a 2012 judgment on the way 26/11 attack of Mumbai had been portrayed, it said that it is beyond doubt that the way the operations were freely shown on TV made the task of security forces not only exceedingly difficult but also dangerous and risky. So Press Council of India laid down norms of journalism called Journalism Conduct 2010. Media must be objective, factual, and sensitive in reporting such events. Refrain publication of baseless, graceless, and distorted material. Media must inform and educate the public, not alarm or scare them. The issue of vulnerable section, especially women and children, should be handled with sensitivity. For example, rape victim, their name and picture can never be displayed. Then the investigative journalist should resist TRP based reporting and only report fully checked and verified facts. And intrusion through photography in moments of personal grief should be avoided. ये नहीं कि कोई रो रहा है और आप वहां पर कैमरा लेके पहुंच गए. ओके, सो ये तो चलिए आगे का है. तो दैट वाज द two topics in disaster management that we had to do. One, disaster due to mass gathering or stampede, and second, the role of technology and media. Is this clear to everybody? Yes. Yes, no.
Yes, sir.
Perfectly clear. If there is any doubt, you have 1 minute, please ask. Any doubt? Two topics that we have. Otherwise, we'll move to polity.
So please explain the role of social media before a disaster.
Role of social media before a disaster will be they will be bringing cases of potential disaster. मान लीजिए कि कोई सड़क टूटी हुई है या कोई ब्रिज जो है उसमें कुछ क्रैक्स आ रहे हैं, तो टुमारो देयर मे बी अ रोड डिजास्टर, राइट? So they will be highlighting any potential disaster going to happen. They will also be reporting on law and order concerns, etc. मान लीजिए कि if Navratri is there and then there is also Muslim festival, so media will be talking about the tense scenario, etc. They will be reporting from the ground that there is tension among the two sections if their routes are the same. So they will be also reporting on possible law and order issues. They will also be highlighting lack of efforts in planning, preparedness, etc. Plus they will be also publishing journals like Down to Earth, etc.
Yes, sir.
Any other doubt?
No, sir.
Okay, so let us move to polity now. So first topic of polity is transformative constitution. So we will see the quote: meaning, salient feature, significance, challenges, Supreme Court transformative cases, and way forward. So first quote: Constitution is based on the trinity of values, liberty, equality, and fraternity. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru in Constitutional Assembly said, while we want to make the Constitution as solid and permanent as we can make it, there is no permanence in the Constitution. Then Indian Constitution is a great revolutionary tool in transforming a medieval society to modern egalitarian democracy. Constitution has played a role for transforming Indian society on the values of liberty, equality and fraternity. अगर हम ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन का मीनिंग देखें कि कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ने क्या ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन किया है, so it has transformed the relation between individual and state. Individuals' rights have slowly become very, very important in context of the state. Secondly, transforming the state and society itself. For example, Article 25, Clause 2, opening the places of Hindu worship of public character for all sections of society. So, transformation is transformation of the relation between individual and state, transformation of the society itself, and transformation of state itself. These are the transformations that are being done. How they are being done, let us see. So it is done through universal adult franchise. One person, one vote was revolutionary. Especially, what was the status of women right from the start?
So they were denied right to vote.
We have got equal opportunity to vote.
Yes, they got equal. Just give me 1 second. Just give me 30 seconds. Yes. What was the status of women with respect to voting right from the commencement of the constitution?
So initially, though they were denied right to vote because a right to vote was on the basis of the property.
ये कौन सा कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन आपने पढ़ा है कि commencement of the constitution is 26th January 1950. Universal adult franchise, was it part of the constitution from its very beginning?
No,
Yes,
sir.
Yes. No citizen can be denied. State cannot discriminate on the grounds of religion, race, caste, sex. ये तो आर्टिकल 14 और 15 में ही है. तो हम तो आर्टिकल 326 की बात कर रहे हैं. So women had right to vote from the beginning. So Indian constitution provided the transformative impact from them for the beginning. US took 300 years. UK took thousands of years to give women the right to vote. So-called liberal democracies of today. Then right to equality, no special right or privilege to any section. Equality before law, special protection for vulnerable section, equal protection of law. Then parliamentary system, it is very transformative because people decide. There is popular sovereignty. The preamble says, we the people of India have given to ourselves a sovereign secular a sovereign socialist secular democratic republic. So it is we the people. That was also very, very transformative. Indian constitution is also having many protective institutions like CAG, UPSC, Election Commission. Very important transformative part of Indian constitution is its federalism, where the states also have, they are not mere appendages but have a role to play. Very important transformative aspect of Indian constitution is 73rd and 74th constitutional amendment, which provided grassroots democracy. So if you see, Indian constitution has been able to provide right to privacy. KS Puttaswamy case, it is able to provide just gender justice. For example, upholding triple talaq, Vishakha guideline, allowing women in combat roles in armed forces. So it has been able to provide gender justice to women as well as third gender. For example, in Navtej Singh Johar case, court said that individual have the right to bodily autonomy. Section 377 criminalizing homosexuality was decriminalized. Then Indian constitution upholds constitutional morality instead of customary morality. जो सोसाइटी मोरालिटी बोलती है, women should be inside homes, scheduled caste should be not touching particular well or walking on road, Indian constitution denounced all such sorts of customary morality which were part of the traditional power structures. Indian constitution is based on constitutional morality of liberty, equality and fraternity. And Indian constitution has been able to ensure people's faith in institution is increased. आप भारत के इर्द गिर्द देखेंगे तो सारे डेमोक्रेसीज खत्म हो चुकी है. श्रीलंका इज ओवर, बांग्लादेश इज ओवर, म्यांमार इज ओवर, Pakistan was always over, Afghanistan there is coming of Taliban, India is the only signing beacon, perhaps with respect to Bhutan also, but Bhutan is a monarchy. So in its neighborhood, India is the only shining example of uninterrupted democracy. Okay, what are the challenges? Colonial era laws and institutions are there. For example, there is lack of police reform, there is criminal defamation, there is failure of institutions. For example, judiciary mein there is collegium issues. In the appointment of judges, there is the master of roster issue. There is contempt of court issue. With respect to executive, there is criminalization of politics. With respect to parliament, there is parliamentary disruption. There is increased social fragmentation in Indian society. There is rise in communalism and radicalization. There is elected versus nominated debate. Judges are nominated, they interpret the constitution. Okay. Lastly, ये आप conclusion में लिखेंगे, reform should not be top down. It should always be people led reform. जैसे राजा राम मोहन रॉय ने सती के लिए रिफॉर्म चालू किया था, it was later recognized by law. Case study में transformative constitution brought peace and stability in South Africa. So that is the first topic, transformative constitution. Now we will not be discussing rights, we will be discussing directly separation of power and issues of Indian judiciary. Just bear with me for 1 second. Yes. So next important doctrine is separation of power, because there was a lot of back and forth with respect to the vice president and the judiciary. Vice president did not observe the constitutional silence of the higher constitutional dignitaries. He commented a lot on judiciary, plus judiciary itself was facing many issues of itself. For example, there was the Justice Yashwant Verma note scandal. There was the Justice Shekhar Yadav's case of Allahabad High Court. Both are being, like, opposition wanted to impeach Justice Shekhar Yadav. Government is in its right mind going to impeach Justice Yashwant Verma. So separation of power therefore becomes a very important topic. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. It's a very important quote. Then liberty is best protected by separation of power. What is separation of power? Law is made by the parliament, interpreted by the judiciary, implemented by the executive. अगर आप मॉन्टेस्क्यू को देखेंगे तो क्या कहते हैं वो, that the power should not be in a single entity but rather a composite of different government bodies functions in working independently of each other. Power should not be in one hand but in many hands. Constitutional Assembly debate में there was Professor KT Shah and Dr. Ambedkar. KT Shah ने तो कहा कि तीनों ही organs को separate कर दो, एग्जीक्यूटिव को, जुडिशरी को और लेजिस्लेचर को. डॉक्टर अंबेडकर ने ये रिजेक्ट कर दिया and Article 50 was inserted, which provided for separation of judiciary from the executive. Okay, if we see the comparison, US Constitution में there is strict separation of power. In US, all this, so this is the US model. All the three organs, they are separate: executive, judiciary, and legislature. They are separate from each other. They are linked by what we call as doctrine of checks and balances. So president and his ministers are not responsible to the Congress, Senate, and House of Representatives. In India, the ministers come from parliament. The executive is collectively responsible towards parliament. There is no watertight separation. There is something called functional overlap with doctrine of checks and balances. अगर clear separation देखा जाए तो judiciary is separated by the constitution from the executive. तो भारत में जो है there is functional separation and functional overlap. Functional separation के क्या example है? The three organs functionally being separate from each other. Article 50, it explicitly lays down separation of judiciary from executive. Then secondly, Article 121 and 211, the conduct of Supreme Court and High Court judges cannot be discussed in Parliament and state legislature except on a substantive motion. Similarly, Article 122, courts cannot take cognizance of what is said on Parliament floor. So this is talking about functional separation. Article 361, the office of the President and Governor shall not be answerable in any court. इसीलिए प्रेसिडेंट और गवर्नर जो है इक्वालिटी के लिए एक्सेप्शन माने जाते हैं. देन व्हाट आर दी functional overlaps? So for example, Article 142 में judiciary can pass any order, even a legislation. So this is overlap. Under Article 124, executive appoints judges of higher judiciary. President appoints judges of Supreme Court and High Court on the recommendations of collegium. Parliament has certain judicial powers like impeachment of the president, removal of the judges. Punishment for breach of privilege, contempt of house. Executive has certain legislative powers, for example, ordinance during emergency and in special cases when president is making rules for good governance. So executive has powers of legislation, legislature has powers of judiciary, and judiciary has powers of both. Sometimes even the executive has powers of judiciary in the form of tribunals. So all these are examples of functional overlap. So separation of power की definition, separation of power का functional separation और functional overlap. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Everybody?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes. Dipesh, Shavya,
yes, sir.
Gauri. Now, what are the Supreme Court cases? Supreme Court in Keshwanandan Bharti case said doctrine of separation of power is part of basic structure. Indira Gandhi versus Raj Narayan mein Supreme Court said there is no rigid separation of power unlike the US Constitution. NJAC, that is National Judicial Appointment Commission. Which Constitutional Amendment Act?
99th.
Yes.
99th.
99th Constitutional Amendment Act. Here, Supreme Court struck down this on the grounds that it was violating separation of power. There is also something called doctrine of checks and balances. The Constitution provides checks and balances to prevent any organ from exercising absolute power. So, for example, judges of Supreme Court and High Court are appointed by President, removed by Parliament. Executive Council of Ministers under Article 75 Clause 3 is collectively responsible to Lok Sabha or House of People. Parliament exercises no confidence motion over executive. Financial accountability, money cannot be withdrawn from Consolidated Fund of India except by a law. Budget is also a way Parliament exercises financial control over the government. Legislature का देखा जाए तो 13, 32 and 326, not 326, 326 गड़बड़ हो गया ये. What is the power with respect to high courts for issuing writs? Yes.
226.
Yes. So 326 is basically your universal adult franchise. So judges can strike down any law or executive action which is violation of the fundamental right. It is the power of judicial review. Then there is limitations on the powers of the Parliament to amend the Constitution. Minerva Mills case, because under Article 368, Parliament can amend the Constitution, but its powers are limited. That limitation is brought by Supreme Court or by judiciary. So this is on the first topic, doctrine of separation of power and doctrine of checks and balances. Functional separation, functional overlap, Supreme Court cases. Is that clear? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Everybody?
Yes, sir.
Is the speed too fast? As if like you are not able to understand anything. Anybody of that nature? See, this revision is basically for people who are going to write GS 1 and 2. I mean, this particular is for GS2 on Saturday. So कहीं पर भी कुछ टॉपिक अगर नहीं समझ आए, please pause and ask me. I'll explain. It's not the case that I won't explain. Okay. Now, issues with respect to judiciary, court, statistic, various issues, reforms, and way forward. So, court, Indian Supreme Court is the most powerful Supreme Court in the world. Attorney General K.K. Venugopal. Independence of judiciary is independence from executive, not from public scrutiny. And Arun Jaitley sir had said, post-retirement benefits influence pre-retirement judgments. Then data. Now, this is 5 crore cases are pending according to National Judicial Data Grid. The judge to population ratio is 21 per million. Law Commission कहता है कि 50 judges per million होना चाहिए. In your high courts, there is 22% vacancy in number of sanctioned judges. This is data given in the document Matsya Nyay by Economic Survey. Economic Survey ने एक टाइटल दिया था एक चैप्टर का, मत्स्य न्याय, कि जुडिशरी में जो है बड़ी मछलियों को ही न्याय मिल पाता है, छोटी लोगों को न्याय नहीं मिल पाता है. What is the issue? First is pendency of cases. Why there is pendency? Because of repeated adjournment. More than 50% of the cases go for adjournment. Obviously, there is low strength and vacancy. There is adversarial system. यहाँ पर innocent until proven guilty है. जो हमारा सिस्टम है एडवर्सेरियल है. जब तक प्रोसिक्यूशन आपको गलत नहीं साबित कर देता तब तक केस चलता रहेगा. यू शुड बी प्रूवन गिल्टी बियॉन्ड रीजनेबल डाउट. मल्लीमथ कमिटी थी एक जो कह रही थी कि इंक्विस्टेरियल सिस्टम मान लीजिए, आप गिल्टी मान लीजिए और आपका काम है अपने, इट इज योर वर्क to explain yourself, or it is your duty to explain yourself as नॉन गिल्टी. ओके, सो दैट वुड हैव फास्टेंड. भारत में एक और समस्या क्या है? पुअर क्रिमिनल इन्वेस्टिगेशन. समस्या ये है कि पुलिस जो है उसके लॉ एंड ऑर्डर और इन्वेस्टिगेटिंग पार्ट को सेपरेट नहीं किया गया भारत में. वही इन आईओ जो है वो नेताजी का बॉडीगार्ड भी रहते हैं, वही आईओ जो है केस को इन्वेस्टिगेट भी करते हैं, वही आईओ जो है ट्रैफिक का भी कभी मैनेजमेंट में जाना पड़ता है, वही आईओ जो है वो किसी इवेंट में जाके उनको इवेंट मैनेजमेंट भी करना पड़ता है. सो देयर इज नो क्लियर कट सेपरेशन ऑफ लॉ एंड ऑर्डर एंड इन्वेस्टिगेशन इन इंडिया. Okay, although this is a separate topic itself, criminal justice system in India. Criminal justice system के तीन components हैं. One is law enforcement, the other is that is police, there other is law adjournment, that is judiciary that we are talking about, and the third is penalization, that is the jails. तीनों के अपनी अपनी समस्याएं हैं. There is a lot of problem in Indian criminal judicial system. Then government is the largest litigant. Pendency of cases में government जो है सबसे बड़ा litigant है. There is malpractice of lawyers and PILs की वजह से भी there is increased pendency. There is no locus standi. Second, there is also problem in appointment in judiciary. For example, collegium system is very opaque. One law minister said that brothers are appointing judges, are appointing brother judges. There is a tussle between executive and judiciary over memorandum of procedure after the striking down of NJAC. There is under representation of women. अभी तक भी जो है, has there been a women CGI of India?
No, sir.
There is going to be now, after almost 80 years of independence. There is also institutional failure in Supreme Court. जैसे Justice Verma case I have written. There was also a High Court versus Supreme Court debate going on when a bench of Supreme Court had prevented a High Court judge from taking criminal cases. In response, the High Court said that they will be not adhering or not implementing this judgment of Supreme Court, which is violation of Article 141. That is, all judgments of Supreme Court are binding on all courts in India. So there was such a case, then Supreme Court had to come down. It had to tone down because Supreme Court is not the administrative head of the high courts. Supreme Court only has judicial superintendents, not administrative superintendents. There is also master of roster issue. जैसे प्रसाद मेडिकल केस में उस समय के सीजीआई के ऊपर ये इल्जाम लगा था कि ये जानबूझ के ऐसे केसेस देते हैं जजेस को कि जहां पर फैसला जो है उनके फेवर में आ सके. There was allegation of sexual misconduct against, again, one CGI who now happens to be member of parliament. There is allegation of bribery made. There is use of contempt of court against a judge of High Court by Supreme Court. So there was, Supreme Court had issued contempt of court against a High Court judge. Okay. There is also issue of judicial overreach, Vishakha guidelines, blanket ban on mining. There is also recent use of Article 142 by Supreme Court. भारत के अटॉर्नी जनरल ने कहा कि आर्टिकल 144 should die at its birth. He said this for constitutional morality, but Article 142 was used increasingly by Supreme Court to transgress into legislature. Okay. There is also very controversial decisions like High Court, Bombay High Court judgment, where they said that if there is skin to skin touch, that will not be considered as rape. If the pervert touches the victim from his sex organs, only there is no penetration, only skin to skin touch, it would not be considered rape. Such an absurd judgment was given by the court, or a similar version was given by the court. Then reform के लिए there is national mission for justice delivery and legal reform based on two pillars. Judicial delay को कम करना है और judicial accountability को बढ़ाना है. There is e-courts project There is alternate dispute resolution mechanism like lok adalat, arbitration and reconciliation for reducing the pendency of cases. There is use of technology in judiciary. For example, telejudiciary, live streaming of proceedings, etc. The office of the CGI has come under RTI. Way forward में there should be all India judicial services. It would be objective recruitment and clear the pendency as well as vacancy in appointment. Conclusion में rule of law and order should be maintained. It is the science of governance. Kautilya said in Arthashastra, no branch of knowledge and policy is of any avail if rule of law is neglected. Okay, so this is your first topic, first two topics, separation of power and issues with respect to judiciary. Removal of judge, I am not discussing. It is one of these topics only. Issues of judiciary लिख देंगे. बस वहां पर जज कैसे रिमूव होते हैं उसका एक एल्गोरिदम आप बना दीजिएगा. एल्गोरिदमिक रिप्रेजेंटेशन ऑफ रिमूवल ऑफ जजेस. फॉर एग्जांपल, हाउ इज द रिमूवल बिगिनिंग? 100 members in Lok Sabha or 50 members in Rajya Sabha right to initiate substantive motion for removal. This, some of you who are computer science students or some of you who have studied C++ in your 11th, 12th, decision of chair can be no, the motion dies. Sorry, not this. If accepted by the chair, then
3-member committee will be
yes,
formed by speaker.
yes, not speaker, by the chair. So an inquiry panel will be established. This inquiry panel, it will investigate on what grounds? Proven misbehavior. थोड़ा सा बड़ा बना देते. Proven misbehavior or
Incapacity.
incapacity, yes. If they think not guilty, then again motion dies. If they consider guilty, what will happen? House votes. Yes. By what kind of majority? Special majority, yes. If they again vote no, then motion dies. If yes, the same procedure is followed in other house. Yes, this is repeated in other house, and after which president address. If president signs, suppose president does not sign, again what will happen?
Motion dies.
Motion dies. If the president signs और president मतलब technical sense में polity के लिखा जाए तो president gives his assent, then what happens? Judge is removed. It can be a high court judge, it can be a supreme court judge. तो एक ये algorithm बना लीजिएगा आप other than what we have discussed. in issues of judiciary. Clear है? Yes.
Yes, sir.
स्पेशली इंजीनियर्स को तो ये बहुत आसानी से समझ आ रहा होगा, या जो भी जिन्होंने भी थोड़ी बहुत प्रोग्रामिंग करी होगी 11th-12th में, C++, जावा कॉलेज में कराते थे फर्स्ट ईयर में सभी को, इंजीनियर्स को, राइट? Now Article 142 etc. You may look at it. All India Judicial Service. Now with respect to legislature, the topic, there are so many topics that you may revise. What is important right now is parliamentary system. So what is the quote, the principal features, comparison with presidential system, why India chose parliamentary system, and comparison with UK and US. A very simple, straightforward question from Lakshmikant along with some value addition. So parliamentary government is known as responsible government, as the real executive is accountable to the parliament. Whether this constitution may or may not seem to give for the progress of the nation will depend upon the men who govern it. Now, principle, modern democracies are classified into parliamentary or presidential on the basis of nature of relation between executive and legislature. So if the executive is responsible to the legislature, what will be that system?
Responsible government.
Yes, parliamentary system. If the executive is, there is strict separation of power, what will be that system?
Presidential.
Presidential system. So modern democracies are classified into parliamentary and presidential on the basis of relation between executive and legislature. Features देखे, parliamentary system के तो de facto और de jure head है. President is the de jure head, prime minister is the de facto head. There is collective responsibility. This is the bedrock of parliamentary system, where the council of ministers is collectively responsible to parliament. Dissolution of lower house is there and double membership is there. Now if you compare the presidential system and the parliamentary system, very beautiful diagram is there. अगर प्रिंसिपल में देखा जाए तो प्रेसिडेंशियल का सेपरेशन ऑफ पावर है, पार्लियामेंट्री का कलेक्टिव रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है. एग्जीक्यूटिव का देखा जाए तो प्रेसिडेंट इज बोथ रियल एज वेल एज नॉमिनल हेड ऑफ द एग्जीक्यूटिव, वेयर एज इन पार्लियामेंट्री सिस्टम president is ceremonial head. He heads the nation but does not rule it. PM is the real head. अगर काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर्स की बात करें तो यहाँ पर प्रेसिडेंशियल सिस्टम में किचन कैबिनेट है. They are not responsible to legislature. Whereas in parliamentary system, they are responsible to the collective responsibility towards parliament and individual responsibility towards the president. अगर हम एग्जीक्यूटिव का देखें तो ओनली इन एक्सेप्शनल केसेस प्रेसिडेंट कैन बी इम्पीच्ड बाय पार्लियामेंट फॉर ग्रेव कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल एक्ट, whereas in parliamentary system council of ministers can be removed by no confidence motion. President can dissolve Lok Sabha, here president cannot dissolve Lok Sabha. Separation of power, it is based on doctrine of checks and balances. Why India chose parliamentary system? We were familiar with the system. KM Munshi said कि हमने जो लास्ट 40 सालों में since at least 1909 Act, we have some kind of idea about parliamentary system. So 1909, 1919, 1935, and then 1947. Last 40 years, we have some kind of responsibility induced in the governance of the country. India chose responsibility over stability. Stability is a feature of presidential system. इनकी सरकार गिर नहीं सकती 4 साल तक. ट्रंप चाहे जो भी जोकरपंथी कर ले, he will remain the president for 4 years unless he dies, or there is only one case where he is impeached for grave constitutional act. But I think the people love him, so he will not be allowed to people of America. So इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन जो है या पार्लियामेंट जो है वो रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी पे बना है. काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर्स आर रिस्पॉन्सिबल टुवर्ड्स द लेजिस्लेचर. तो डॉक्टर अंबेडकर ने बोला कि हमने जो है रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी चुनी है ओवर स्टेबिलिटी, क्योंकि ऐसा कोई सिस्टम नहीं बना जिसमें दोनों ही हो. प्लस पार्लियामेंट्री सिस्टम प्रोवाइड्स फॉर डाइवर्स रिप्रेजेंटेशन. अगर हम कंपैरिजन करें ब्रिटिश सिस्टम के साथ और यूके कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के साथ, तो इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन or Indian parliamentary system is based on constitutional supremacy. Constitution is supreme, whereas UK is based on parliamentary sovereignty. The UK parliament can do everything except make a man a woman or a woman a man, which they are now doing that also. So they can do everything except के नीचे कुछ नहीं लिखा. नेचर में Indian parliamentary system is republican democracy, whereas UK is constitutional monarchy. उनका head of the state king है. हमारा head of the state एक indirectly elected leader है. Anybody can be. Currently it is महामहिम राष्ट्रपति महोदया, that is Murmuru ji. So the head of the state in India is elected. Anybody can become the head of the state. Here the position is hereditary. अगर हम council of ministers की बात करें तो prime minister can be from any house, whereas in UK prime minister is always from the lower house. अगर हम responsibility की बात करें तो यहाँ पर ministers की अपनी कोई responsibility नहीं है, whereas in UK there is legal responsibility. So that is all about the first topic on parliament, that is parliamentary system. Any doubt in this? Yes.
No, sir.
Anybody? Okay. इसमें एक important topic है parliamentary disruption for this year as well as next year. Please do revise this once. Let us spend just hardly 10 minutes कि disruption क्या है, क्यों होता है, क्या इससे related data है. Okay. So वेंकैया नायडू जी का एक बहुत अच्छा कोट है, द रोल ऑफ गवर्नमेंट इज टू प्रपोज, ऑपोजिशन टू अपोज एंड द हाउस टू डिस्पोज. एडमंड बर्क, he said your representation owes you not his industry but also his judgment, and he betrays you instead of serving you if he sacrifices his judgment to your opinion. So that's a very satirical way. So स्टैटिस्टिक देखा जाए तो फर्स्ट, सेकंड और थर्ड लोकसभा सैट फॉर 120 days. इट हैज ऑलमोस्ट बिकम हाफ नाउ. पीआरएस रिपोर्ट कह रहा था कि 37% ऑफ द टाइम हैज बीन लॉस्ट बिकॉज ऑफ डिसरप्शंस. सो why should there be debates in parliament? Because to ensure collective responsibility of executive towards the legislature. अगर debate होगा तो court का burden और litigation कम हो जाएगा. The representative democracy will be better. It will improve the legislations also. But we'll come to the causes. Before that, what are the rules to prevent disruption? So there is the rules of procedure and conduct of business 1952. It requires the members to not interrupt speeches, maintain silence and not obstruct proceedings. They should not shout slogans, tear documents in protest, display placards, play cassette recorders in house. Why there are disruptions? One of the biggest cause for disruption is anti-defection law. Can anybody tell me how anti-defection law is the biggest cause of disruption? Because of the position of whip, not speaker, whip. Whip जो है वो एक जारी कर देंगे कि all the members of that party have to do this. आपको जाके अमित शाह जी के सामने बिल को फाड़ना है. Now they will be made to do this. The individual members, they have no freedom of speech and expression. They have to follow the party line unless you are Shashi Tharoor. So anti-defection law में जो post of whip है, that is the biggest cause of disruption. Second is 24/7 media coverage. Everybody wants to be covered on media. There is also criminalization of politics. There is also disciplinary powers of the chair are rarely used. There is also sometimes politicization of the chair, whether speaker or chairman of Rajya Sabha. इससे impact क्या होगा? Quality of legislation will come down. Few discussions even on important matters like Aadhaar, budget is bulletined. Quality of executive action will also become poor. There will be more delegated legislation. Executive's power will rise. arbitrary executive power, reduce executive's accountability to parliament, bargaining, federalism. There will be increased protest due to lack of consensus in bills. For example, Citizenship Amendment Act, farm bills, etc. There will be increased party-centric democracy. There will be personality cult and concentration of power. What are the reforms? National Commission for Reworking of the Commission, वेंकट चलैया कमिटी सेड कि 120 दिन जो है बैठना मैंडेटरी हो. फिर डेप्टी स्पीकर ने ये कहा था कि एक पार्लियामेंट्री डिसरप्शन इंडेक्स लेके आइए. हर एमपी का एक डिसरप्शन का इंडेक्स बने कि किसने कितना समय खराब किया है. देन विधि सेंट्रल हैज कम अप विद सच अ सेंटर. इट नेम्ड द एमपीस. बेस्ट प्रैक्टिस में यूके एंड कनाडा है जहां पर ऑपोजिशन को 20 दिन दे दिया जाता है. सो दैट इज ऑल अबाउट पार्लियामेंट्री डिसरप्शन. वी डिस्कस्ड द कोट ऑफ वेंकैया नायडू जी. डेटा 120 दिन से 67 दिन पे आ गया है. वी सॉ what are the rules with respect to disruption, what are the causes of disruption. Biggest cause of disruption is anti-defection law. Second biggest is 24/7 media. Then we saw what is the impact. Quality of legislation will fall, executive powers will rise, there will be more protests. In reforms, National Commission for working of the constitution, it said that mandatory 120 days should be there. And in best practice, UK में ऑपोजिशन को 20 दिन मिलता है मुद्दा उठाने के लिए. इज दिस क्लियर? यस. सो फार वी हैव डन 2 टॉपिक्स ऑफ जुडिशरी. नो, वी डिड ट्रांसफॉर्मेटिव कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, देन वी डिड separation of power, then we did issues with respect to Indian judiciary, then we did 2 topics with respect to legislature, that is parliamentary system and parliamentary disruptions. Is that clear? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So again, स्पीकर वगैरह इंपॉर्टेंट है. स्पीकर और प्रेसिडेंट दोनों के ऑफिस हर साल इंपॉर्टेंट रहते हैं. So just go through this. I'll not be able to because of paucity of time, but बहुत ही self explanatory है. स्पीकर का पोजीशन इन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, फंक्शन, once a speaker always a speaker, independence, impartiality, issues, supreme court cases where you will be seeing की हो तो होलन केस, and then international best practice. जैसे यूके में स्पीकर बनते ही वो अपनी पार्टी से रिजाइन कर देते हैं फॉर इंडिपेंडेंस ऑफ द स्पीकर. ओके, सो जस्ट गो थ्रू दिस फ्रॉम द नोट्स. Office of Profit. Defection is also given. You may also revise defection from here. I'm sure parliamentary privileges you definitely studied during prelims. It is all given in a better format for you to remember. Now finally, president or governor, both are important this year. What is the constitutional position? What is the election eligibility, powers of the president, discretion and best practices, comparison in powers, executive, legislative, judicial, special powers, constitutional. I'm not going to discuss all these points क्योंकि ये सब आपको पता है, ठीक है. But some important points. What is the constitutional position? He is the head of the state, but the Constitution of India has provided for parliamentary form and hence president is only nominal head. इंट्रोडक्शन में आप ये भी लिख सकते हैं कि इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में देयर इज अ प्लेस एट द हेड ऑफ द इंडियन यूनियन अ फंक्शनरी called president of India. The title reminds of president of US, but beyond the identity of names there is nothing in common between the two. If at all, president can be compared to the king of England. He represents the nation but cannot rule it. He is head of the state but not the government. Article 53, 74 and 75 talk about the position of the president. Okay, 53 कहता है president is the head of the executive, but article 74 कहता है there shall be a council of ministers headed by PM to aid and advise the president, who shall act in accordance with the advice tendered. Please use these articles verbatim in your answers. Whenever you are writing a mains answer in polity, please use the articles verbatim. That is the importance of articles. Okay. Election eligibility, powers, etc. You already know. There are special powers. One is ordinance, that is Article 123, where in special circumstances, the President of India can promulgate or can legislate when either of the two houses are not in session. Why this is important? Especially because of the recent issue going on with respect to Tamil Nadu governor case or Supreme Court guidelines on governor's assent, Article 201, और प्रेसिडेंट का भी उन्होंने तय कर दिया है कि प्रेसिडेंट भी जो है 3 महीने में वापस करेंगे वगैरह वगैरह. एंड द गवर्नमेंट हैज वेहीमेंटली प्रोटेस्टेड दैट सुप्रीम कोर्ट का ये डोमेन नहीं है. गवर्नमेंट ने बोला कि आप जो है सेपरेशन ऑफ पावर को मेंटेन कीजिए. देयर आर सर्टेन स्फीयर्स वेयर द कोर्ट्स शुड रिस्पेक्ट द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल positions. Okay, so there is a tussle going on between Supreme Court and executive on the decision with respect to governor and president with respect to state bills. Okay, so ordinance is there as well as pardoning powers are given. So just revise these two topics from here, plus the assent related powers, which it is already mentioned in the federalism topic. Okay, so federalism में हमने center state relation में conflict में डाल दिया था role of governor. Okay, so that might be asked. It has been asked previously couple of times, but it may be asked. Okay, so this completes our polity discussion. In polity, let me just do a recap. We did transformative constitution, then we did separation of power, we did issues of judiciary, then we did parliamentary system, we did parliamentary disruption, and we did the ordinance and pardoning powers of the president in brief. So this is the second agenda that has been done. 1 or 2 minutes for you to ask your doubt. Or if you require more break, just let me know. After which we will begin with geography and then complete our session with environment. Yes, any doubt? So we have come at 50% of the class. आधा हो गया हमारा, आधा और बाकी है geography और environment. You want a break? 2-3 minutes, 5 minutes? Just let me know.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so it is 9:28. How many of you want to take your lunch? I mean, not lunch, dinner.
No, sir.
So then let us shorten the break. We will begin at 9:35, 7-minute break. I was going to give till 9:40, but Rishika is not interested in lunch. So at 9:35, we will resume with geography. Is my voice audible?
Yes, sir.
Sorry about that extended break. One of the main students panic call came. Is my voice audible? Somebody's mic is.
Yes, sir.
No, I was not speaking. Somebody's video or mic was on with a lag. So again, I would repeat that the idea is not कि ये सब कुछ जो है आपको अभी याद ही आ जाए. The idea is that these are things that you can revise in a very, very short period. Okay, so that person was like, सर ये सब सारा रिवाइज हो गया लेकिन जो उसमें बचा है वो सब. तो आपको हमेशा लगेगा इस एग्जाम में कि ये छूट गया वो छूट गया. ऑलवेज रिलाई ऑन इन दिस लास्ट 1 week, रिलाई ऑन व्हाट यू हैव ऑलरेडी डन. आप इस पे मत रिलाई कीजिए कि क्या रह गया. रह जाने को तो देयर विल बी सो मेनी थिंग्स दैट विल रिमेन in this exam. So please don't rely on what is remaining. In the last times, you have to rely on what has been done. That should be your goal. अगर आप ये सोचेंगे कि what are the things that are remaining, we'll again be facing lots of challenges. Okay, so having said that, now let us revise. Geography. Is my screen visible?
No, sir.
Not visible.
No, sir.
Just give me 10 seconds. Please tell me if it is visible.
Yes, sir. With you.
Okay, so first topic in geography is jet streams. So jet streams, as you know, are upper air planetary winds. So winds की classification है planetary winds, seasonal winds, local winds. Planetary winds की भी दो classification है, surface planetary winds and upper air planetary winds. So jet streams, they are upper air planetary winds. So at some latitudes, just 10 सेकंड ताकि आप कॉन्सेप्ट को याद कर लें. So what is upper air planetary winds? So what is happening is at the equator, air is being heated up. This air rises. It goes to the tropopause. यहां पर जाके इस एयर के पास डाइवर्जेंस का ही एक ऑप्शन है. So when air is rising at the equator, there is low pressure at the surface on the equator. When it reaches the tropopause and it diverges, there is high pressure here. This air would have gone till the poles, but Coriolis bends it at 30-degree latitude. This air is forced to descend, so there is high pressure here. So ये जो upper air में air का flow है, it will always be westerly in direction. That is why across the earth there is upper air westerlies. इसको अगर हम एक और तरीके से देखें तो हम 3 एयर के पार्सल्स ले लेते हैं. There is warm air, there is cool air and there is cold air. अगर warm air देखें और एक 5 किलोमीटर का डिस्टेंस देखें तो वार्म एयर ज्यादा से ज्यादा ऊपर रहेगा, ऊपर के कॉलम में. देयर विल बी लेस हियर. अगर कूल एयर की बात करें तो 50 विल बी नियर ग्राउंड, 50 विल बी इन द एटमॉस्फेयर. अगर कोल्ड एयर की देखें तो मोस्ट ऑफ द एयर विल बी सिंकिंग. सो आप अगर एयर का ग्रेडियंट देखेंगे तो देयर इज लो प्रेशर हियर, देयर इज comparatively high pressure here, there is comparatively high pressure here. So air is flowing from the equator towards the pole in the upper latitude, or rather I should say in the upper altitude. This air is called upper air westerlies. So upper air westerlies are flowing across, it is flowing across earth. बट कई बार क्या होता है कि जब वो एक बैरियर को क्रॉस करते हैं, when they are coming from polar area to subpole or temperate area, there is a sudden shift in the temperature and pressure. इसकी वजह से इनका स्पीड बढ़ जाता है. A jet stream is formed called polar front jet stream. Similarly, जब ये temperate area से ट्रॉपिकल एरियाज में जाते हैं, वापस से इनका स्पीड जो है बढ़ जाता है. अ जेट स्ट्रीम इज फॉर्म्ड कॉल्ड सब ट्रॉपिकल वेस्टर्ली जेट स्ट्रीम. सो जेट स्ट्रीम्स आर नथिंग बट पार्ट एंड पार्सल ऑफ अपर एयर वेस्टर्लीज. देयर स्पीड इज सिंपली इंक्रीजिंग. सो दे आर embedded or part and parcel of upper air westerlies. They are swift, near geostrophic, narrow and meandering winds which encircle the earth. Okay, so jet streams are nothing but swift upper air westerlies. Now what are their characteristic? Definition तो हो गया. इनके characteristic क्या है? तो इनके dimension जो है वो thousands of kilometers में होते हैं. Depth is 2 to 3 kilometer and width is in several hundred kilometers. They are meandering. Jet stream is meandering like this. They play a very important role in latitudinal heat budget or latitudinal transfer of heat. वो ऐसे heat को ऐसे cold air को नीचे लेके जाएंगे, warm air को ऐसे ऊपर लेके जाएंगे. They will also play a very significant role in formation of what kind of cyclones? Yes.
Temperate cyclones.
Temperate cyclones. So they are meandering winds formed due to Coriolis force and tendency of the winds in angular systems to conserve their momentum. Their speed is very high, 120 to 480 kilometers. Maximum speed is found in core of jet streams. The height of the jet stream decreases towards the poles because of the general decrease in the tropopause. इक्वेटर के पास ट्रोपोपॉज जो है इट इज 15 to 18 किलोमीटर, तो जेट स्ट्रीम ज्यादा है. पोल्स के पास ट्रोपोपॉज नीचे है तो जेट स्ट्रीम्स भी जो है दे आर 9 to 12 किलोमीटर्स. सब ट्रॉपिकल वेस्टर्ली 12 किलोमीटर, ट्रॉपिकल ईस्टर्ली जेट स्ट्रीम 15 किलोमीटर. तो जैसे जैसे ट्रोपोपॉज नीचे जाता जाएगा जेट स्ट्रीम्स की हाइट भी नीचे जाती जाएगी. देयर आर सीजनल वेरिएशंस इन जेट स्ट्रीम. दे आर आल्सो गोइंग अप एंड डाउन अकॉर्डिंग टू द सन. सो ये कुछ कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स है. वेरी इंपॉर्टेंटली, what is their role? That may be asked as a question. So significance of jet stream, polar front jet stream, it is very significant in formation of temperate cyclones and anticyclones. क्योंकि ये इनकी जो meandering है, this will cause frontogenesis or formation of fronts. वरना क्या होगा, स्टेशनरी फ्रंट बना रहेगा, देयर विल नॉट बी मिक्सिंग ऑफ द फ्रंट्स और द कन्वर्जेंस ऑफ द फ्रंट्स। कोल्ड फ्रंट ऊपर बना रहेगा, वार्म फ्रंट नीचे बना रहेगा, इनकी कभी भी मिक्सिंग नहीं होगी। मिक्सिंग नहीं होगी तो फ्रंटोजेनेसिस नहीं होगा, फ्रंटोजेनेसिस नहीं होगा तो टेम्परेट साइक्लोन का बनना चालू नहीं होगा। सब ट्रॉपिकल वेस्टर्ली जेट स्ट्रीम, जिसको कि भारत में कई बार वेस्टर्न डिस्टर्बेंस भी कहा जाता है, इट इज वेरी सिग्निफिकेंट बिकॉज कैस्पियन सी से ये पानी लेके आएंगे एंड दे विल कॉज रेनफॉल इन नॉर्दर्न हेमिस्फीयर, especially in northwestern India in Rabi season. So they are very important for wheat cultivation. Okay, then they are also linked to Indian monsoon. जब ये इंडियन सब कॉन्टिनेंट से एग्जिट कर जाते हैं तभी मॉनसून विंड्स भारत में आती हैं फॉर सम स्ट्रेंज अनएक्सप्लेन्ड रीजन। थर्ड इज ट्रॉपिकल ईस्टर्ली जेट स्ट्रीम, इट इज वेरी क्रूशल फॉर मॉनसून रेनफॉल। ये क्या करते हैं, जो भी लो प्रेशर सिस्टम्स बे ऑफ बंगाल में है उनको इंडियन मेनलैंड पे कैरी करते हैं और रेनफॉल कराते हैं। फाइनली there is the polar night or stratospheric jet stream which causes rainfall over clouds, which is also responsible for ozone hole over Antarctica. So this is the jet stream definition. They are part and parcel of upper air westerlies. They are swift geostrophic meandering winds. Its features, the types of jet stream as well as its significance. Okay, so one simple topic which may be asked as a static topic in geography. Any doubt? Yes. Yes or no?
No, sir.
सर
हाँ.
सर जैसे स्पीड ऑफ द जेट स्ट्रीम 120 से 480 दिया है, तो सर
Yes.
अगर थोड़ा बहुत वेरिएशन होता है जैसे कभी स्टेटमेंट्स में, तो क्या हम उसको करेक्ट कर देंगे, मतलब थोड़ा बहुत
बिल्कुल
वेरिएशन?
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल बिल्कुल, वो दिस इज नॉट फिक्स्ड, इट वुड वेरी फ्रॉम, नीचे हमने लिखा ना देयर इज अ सीजनल वेरिएशन एंड प्लेस टू प्लेस वेरिएशन,
यस सर।
there it can definitely be somewhere it can be written 100 to 400, that is also fine.
यस सर।
Yes. Yes, any doubt? Somebody has asked a question, what is the role of election commission in disqualification of MPs? So there is disqualification of two types under article 102. एक disqualification है when the disqualification is on all grounds other than defection. जैसे कि आपने इलेक्टोरल मेल प्रैक्टिस कोई कर दी है या आपने पार्लियामेंट में कोई गड़बड़ी करी है, all those disqualifications mentioned in 102 other than defection will be by the president on the recommendation of election commission, and the advice of the election commission is binding on the president. That was a doubt that was asked. चलिए, so अगर जेट स्ट्रीम हो गया तो next topic that we had decided was ocean currents, right? So ocean current may be, what are ocean current, type of ocean current, what are the factors, definition, types, factors causing ocean current, and impact or significance. So What are ocean currents? They represent fast flow of water in the ocean. They can be of two types: deep water current and surface current. Deep water current are thermohaline solution circulations. They are produced due to the variation in density of seawater. Density of seawater is a function of temperature and salinity. So ओशन करंट की डेफिनेशन हो गई. टाइप दो है, सरफेस वाटर करंट एंड डीप वाटर करंट. डीप वाटर करंट जो है वो डेंसिटी के डिफरेंस से बनते हैं. डेंसिटी का डिफरेंस जो है टेम्परेचर और सैलिनिटी पर आधारित है. सरफेस करंट्स क्या होते हैं? दे आर लिमिटेड टू द अपर 100 meters of the ocean surface. They are produced by frictional drag exerted by the planetary winds. So they are, the cause is the frictional drag of the planetary winds. इसके अलावा कोरियोलिस इन पे वर्क करता है, प्लस इवन द शेप एंड साइज ऑफ ओशंस और ओशन बेसिन, या शेप एंड साइज ऑफ कॉन्टिनेंट्स. All these three are important causes for generation of surface current. Most important is planetary wind. This is highlighted by the Aikman spiral. So planetary winds play a very important role in the generation and direction of ocean current. Aikman spiral भी ये दिखाता है. और आपको जो है एक करंट से इसका बेस्ट एग्जांपल मिल जाता है. कैन यू नेम द करंट विच हाइलाइट्स द रोल ऑफ प्लैनेटरी विंड्स? यस, सोमाली करंट. जब प्रिवेलिंग प्लैनेटरी विंड्स की डायरेक्शन चेंज होती है मॉनसून में, तो सोमाली करंट का भी डायरेक्शन चेंज हो जाता है. From a warm current, it becomes a cold current. So there are two types of surface current, warm and cold. They move from low latitude to high latitude and carry warmer water to colder regions. They move from higher latitude to lower latitude and thus carry colder water to warmer regions. Now their significance. So equatorial ocean currents, they carry warm water towards the western boundary, leading to piling up of warm water, due to which temperature in this section is higher. तो equatorial currents कैसे जाते हैं? They are going from west to east. So there is piling up of warm water in the eastern sections, और वहां पर टेम्परेचर ज्यादा रहता है. यहाँ पर वार्म ओशन करंट होंगे. जब यहाँ पर पाइलिंग होगी तो एक सब सरफेस करंट जाता है, दैट इज कॉल्ड काउंटर इक्वेटोरियल करंट. सो देयर इज अ काउंटर इक्वेटोरियल करंट विच लीड्स टू अपवेलिंग ऑफ कोल्ड वाटर. अपवेलिंग जहां पर भी होगी वहां पर फिशेस की पॉपुलेशन अच्छी होगी. फिश लाइक्स कोल्ड वाटर, प्लस ये जो नीचे से समुद्र के पानी आ रहा होगा, इट विल ऑल्सो बी न्यूट्रिएंट रिच. ओके, कई जगह जो है ये वार्म वाटर और कोल्ड वाटर एक बाउंड्री बनाएंगे. दैट बाउंड्री is very important for maintaining the difference between the two air masses. They will be creating a warm air mass and a cold air mass. Those will lead to generation of front, and those will lead to creation of temperate cyclone. So the ocean currents, they definitely play a role in generation of temperate cyclone. For example, Labrador current and Gulf Stream. This is on the west coast in US, plus Kuroshio and Oyoshio in Japan. In the west boundary in the tropics, there are warm currents which lead to humid climates like monsoon and China type current. So they are also responsible for monsoon and China type currents. They are also responsible for deserts. When these currents are found on the western section of continents in the tropics, deserts are found. Okay, for example, there is a current, Canaries current, responsible for the desertification of Sahara. There is also a current which creates the driest desert in the world. Name of that current is? Yes.
Cold current.
Cold current. Humboldt or Peru current, the desert is? Atacama Desert. So they cause humid climates like monsoon, etc. They cause aridity on the western sections like Peru current in Atacama Desert, like Canaries current in Sahara Desert. So these are some of the significances. The currents are drawn here. You can use these currents and represent the answers. मतलब आइडिया क्या है कि आप अपने एग्जाम में जो है कोल्ड करंट और वार्म करंट जरूर बनाएं if there is a question asked on writing their significance. Write through examples. कैनरीज करंट है तो ये सहारा में डेजर्ट करेगा. यहां पर हम्बोल्ट करंट है तो एटाकामा में डेजर्ट करेगा. इंडिया में जो है देयर विल बी मॉनसून क्लाइमेट बिकॉज ऑफ वार्म करंट्स. यहाँ पर क्योरोशियो और ओयोशियो है. यहाँ पर लेब्राडोर और गल्फ स्ट्रीम है तो यहाँ पर देयर विल बी मिक्सिंग एंड क्रिएशन ऑफ फ्रंट्स और क्रिएशन ऑफ साइक्लोन्स. इरविंजर एक वार्म करंट है जो कि मरमांग पोर्ट ऑफ रशिया को इट कीप्स फ्रॉम फ्रीजिंग इवन इन विंटर्स. Okay, so through these diagrams you will be definitely able to remember as well as write the significance of ocean currents on climate, navigation as well as resources और economy. Economy मतलब जहां पर भी फिशिंग होगा that will be economic activity. ये जो counter equatorial current है या जो cold current है that would also be an important fishing site. जब भी ये कोल्ड करंट यहाँ हम्बोल्ट का डिसअपियर हो जाएगा दैट विल बी कॉल्ड एल नीनो. इट विल बी इंपैक्टिंग monsoon of India. So that also you can write in significance. So that is all about currents. What are currents? What are the types of currents? What are the factors producing current? And the significance of oceanic currents. Any doubt? It takes 2.5, 3 hours just to, or probably 2 classes to teach ocean currents, which we did in less than 20 minutes. Any doubt in this? Yes.
No, sir.
बाकी सब लोग सो गए? नहीं. Now salinity and ocean tides एक बार देख लीजिएगा. I paucity of time है plus I'll not be able to explain the finer points, but it is written in a very self-explanatory manner. Just revise from this. What is salinity? Definition क्या है? Sources of salinity, factors affecting distribution of salinity, and the salinity of the 3 C's. Okay, and then what is the significance of salinity? Especially significance on thermohaline circulation, significance on viscosity and disasters, significance on marine organisms which are stenohaline, and also significance on controlling ocean temperature. Okay. Same is for oceanic tides. How are tides produced? What are the variations in tides, both temporal and spatial variations? Spring and neap tides, perigene and epigene, tropical and equatorial tides, and spatial variation. Okay, so just go through the tides topic. Now let us come to plate tectonics. So before plate tectonics, there is continental drift theory given by Alfred Wegener. UPSC ने पास्ट में पूछ दिया what are the proofs for continental drift theory. तो continental drift theory क्या है? ये कह रहा है कि पहले एक बहुत बड़ा कॉन्टिनेंट था, वो जो है ड्रिफ्ट करना चालू हो गया, एंड today the continents are there because of the drift. उनका कहना था कि सन और मून के ग्रेविटेशनल पुल से ये जो बड़े कॉन्टिनेंट्स है वो ड्रिफ्ट करते हैं. तो वेगनर ये तो बता पाए कि कॉन्टिनेंट्स ड्रिफ्ट करते हैं, लेकिन उसके फोर्सेस के बारे में नहीं बता पाए, उसके प्रोसेस को नहीं बता पाए. हाउएवर ही इज कंसिडर्ड द basis for later post drift studies and plate tectonics theory. Okay, so continental drift theory was an attempt by Alfred Wegener to explain the movement of continent and oceans relative to each other. इनको कई सारे proofs भी मिले जिसकी वजह से ये इन्होंने थ्योरी दी. What are the proofs? एक जिक्सॉ पजल, कॉन्टिनेंट्स जो है ऐसे फिट हो रहे थे जैसे कि जिक्सॉ पजल फिट होता है. जैसे ब्राजील का जो एक्सटेंशन है, इट कुड इजीली फिट इन द गिनी कोस्ट ऑफ अफ्रीका. सो दैट इज द जिक्सॉ फिट. देन जियोलॉजिकल एविडेंसेस भी मिले. जो एपेलेशियन माउंटेन है यूएस के, द रॉक्स वर ऑफ सिमिलर टाइप एज फाउंड इन द स्कैंडिनेवियन कंट्रीज. देन थर्ड वाज फॉसिल डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन. कुछ फर्न्स जो है वो अक्रॉस कॉन्टिनेंट्स मिले हैं. इट इज नॉट पॉसिबल फॉर देम टू बी प्रेजेंट इन ऑल द कॉन्टिनेंट्स. देन देयर इज क्लाइमेटिक एविडेंस. कई ऐसे जगह है जहां पर आज बर्फबारी है और वहां पर कोल्ड डिपॉजिट है. सो देयर इज कोल्ड डिपॉजिट फाउंड इन ग्लेशियल रीजन्स. कोल जो है ट्रॉपिकल रेन फॉरेस्ट के मिलियन ऑफ ईयर्स से दबने से कोल बनता है. तो ये संभव ही नहीं है कि ये कोल जो है कोई ग्लेशियल रीजन में मिलेगा. देयर इज ऑल्सो प्लेसर डिपॉजिट्स. फॉर एग्जाम्पल घाना और ब्राजील दोनों में ही गोल्ड के डिपॉजिट्स मिलते हैं. ओके, सो देयर इज एंशिएंट क्लाइमेटिक एविडेंस, देयर इज जियोलॉजिकल एविडेंस, देयर इज जिक्सॉ पजल, देयर इज ग्लेशियर डिपॉजिट्स एक्सेट्रा. अगर हम क्रिटिक की बात करें तो जो फोर्स इन्होंने सजेस्ट किया, दैट वाज नॉट सेटिस्फैक्टरी इनफ. That force could not explain why continents, such large continents are being moving. इन्होंने कहा कि gravitational pull of the sun and moon से हो रहा है. Okay, इसके बाद कई सारे post drift studies हुए. Finally we came to the most accepted doctrine that is of today, that is plate tectonics theory. ये plate tectonic theory ये कह रहा है कि ये जो सारे continent है, it is flowing over plates. So the earth's topmost layer, that is your crust, and some parts of the mantle, together they constitute rigid rocks or lithos rocks. ये जो rocks है ये broken है. They are into various fragments. They are broken into several major and minor plates. ये plates move कर रहे हैं. Plates move होने से इनके ऊपर जो continent और ocean है वो भी move कर रहा है. That is plate tectonic theory. Okay, so the outer rigid lithosphere consists of crust plus parts of mantle. So it is broken into number of interlocking fragments. These fragments are called lithospheric plates or simply plates. There are several major and minor plates identified. All of them are moving. They are made of both continental as well as oceanic material. Okay, so that is plate tectonic theory. ये जो plates हैं जब move करेंगे तो इनके बीच में plate boundary interaction हो गए. There can be 3 plate boundary interactions. One can be ocean. जब दो plates मिल रहे हैं और ocean के type के हैं दोनों, so there will be ocean convergence. जो भी denser ocean होगा वो नीचे converge कर जाएगा. Okay, so there will be convergence of the denser ocean and it will create island arcs. For example, Japan, Hawaii, etc. They are made because of ocean convergence. Sometimes there can be ocean continent convergence. एक तरफ continental plate है और एक तरफ oceanic plate है. Obviously, oceanic plate subduct करेगा. It will lead to volcanism on the continent and produce volcanic arcs. For example, Andes mountain. And third is continent convergence. This will be like पुष्पा, झुकेगा नहीं. None of them will be converging. अगर कोई भी converge नहीं करेगा and they are being pushed towards each other, what will happen? Fold mountains will be formed. Best example of fold mountains is Yes,
Himalayas.
Himalayas, Alps, Rockies. Yes. फिर ये तो हो गया convergence. There can be a situation where the plates are diverging away from each other. दो प्लेट्स हैं, दोनों डाइवर्ज कर रहे हैं, तो बीच में जो है क्रस्ट इज बीइंग क्रिएटेड. यहां पर वल्कनिज्म होगा. देयर विल बी अ चेन ऑफ माउंटेन्स क्रिएटेड. दे आर कॉल्ड व्हाट? मिड ओशियनिक रिजेस. और थर्ड प्लेट बाउंड्री है कि जिसमें प्लेट्स जो है वर्टिकली ऊपर नीचे मूव कर रहे हैं. दे आर नॉट मूविंग हॉरिजॉन्टली. दीज आर कॉल्ड ट्रांसफॉर्म प्लेट बाउंड्रीज. यहाँ पर ना तो कोई क्रिएशन होगा ना तो कोई डिस्ट्रक्शन होगा. दे आर कॉल्ड कंजर्वेशन बाउंड्रीज एज देर इज नाइदर क्रिएशन नॉर डिस्ट्रक्शन. Example is San Andreas fault in North America. So that is all about plate boundaries, definition, types of plate boundary interaction. Plus in plate boundaries say there will be earthquake, there will be volcanism, there will be landslide, there will also be tsunami as well. Okay. So in very short, we have tried to revise geography. We started with jet streams, then we did ocean currents and their significance, then we did continental drift theory as well as plate tectonics. You may also revise from the notes volcanism. Mains पे एक सवाल आ सकता है. Hotspot volcanism has been asked in the past. So origin of magma, rise of magma, deposition of magma, that is the entire volcanism process. Then a question may be asked on weathering, any of the elements of weathering. So please revise that also. That would complete most parts of your geography. Okay, now come to the final part of the session, that is environment. And first topic of environment is definitely environment impact assessment. An important topic. All of you must have done this, prepared this. However, since it is mentioned in the syllabus, we should definitely look over it. So the definition of environment impact assessment, the evolution of environment impact assessment, objectives, EIA rules, the stages, ये important है, stages जानना. Okay, and best practices. तो EIA किसको कहते हैं? It is a formal process to predict the environmental consequences of human development activity. According to UNEP, it is a tool to identify the environmental, social and economic impact of a project. Environmental impact of a project. तो मान लीजिए कि आपका environment ऐसा था, आपने अगर EIA किया तो इतना impact आपके प्रोजेक्ट का होगा. इम्पैक्ट तो होगा ही, बिकॉज यू विल बी मेकिंग चेंजेस टू द इन्वायरमेंट. आप जो है वहां पर अगर फॉरेस्ट होगा तो उसको काट के आप मेट्रो बनाओगे. मे बी मेट्रो इज गोइंग टू सेव अ लॉट ऑफ कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड इमिशंस, बट इनिशियली यू विल बी मेकिंग चेंजेस. तो आप EIA कंडक्ट करोगे कि जो मेट्रोस चलेंगी तो उससे जितना कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड बचेगा, विल दैट बी इक्वल टू द फॉरेस्ट दैट आई हैव कट. अगर आप नहीं करोगे तो आपका इम्पैक्ट जो है कितना भी ज्यादा हो सकता है. इट में ऑल्सो बी सिवियर. इट में इवन बी लाइक द वेदांता कॉपर प्रोजेक्ट और कॉपर प्लांट which polluted the entire river and was shut down. Okay, so what are the objectives of environmental impact assessment? To mitigate adverse environmental impacts, identification of alternative options to balance ecology and environment, and render detailed study of environment impact. इसके stages क्या हैं? सबसे पहले जो है screening stage होता है, which is the first stage of environmental impact. It determines whether the proposed project requires an EIA. Second is scoping, where you set the criteria, you identify the key issues and impact. Third is impact analysis. Here we identify and predict the potential environment and social impact. Fourth is mitigation. Here EIA will recommend the alternatives to reduce and avoid potential adverse impacts. Fifth is prepare EIA report. इसके पर public hearing करेंगे, decision making होगा. There is also a provision for post project, monitoring. Okay, so start of a project, site selection, EIA conducted, apply NOC, pollution board arranges for public hearing, and then gives clearances. Okay, so what is the benefit? It promotes sustainable development, it leads to disaster risk resilience, it fulfills corporate governance, it aids cost effectiveness because long run mein it will help avoid losses, people's participation in development rules. There is the draft EIA 2020. It reduced the time period of public consultation from 30 to 20 days, which was being criticized. There is also provision for post facto clearance, so decriminalization with imposement of fine. तो अब ये तो नहीं हुआ कि आप इन्वायरमेंट को खराब कर दे और बाद में जो है उसके ऊपर पेनल्टी दे दे. This is bringing a culture of impunity. Currently, it is based on the polluter pays principle. So this is making the entire EIA exercise redundant. कराने की जरूरत ही नहीं. Okay. Concerned Supreme Court in Common Cause versus Union of India said that post facto clearance should not be there. कोई प्रोजेक्ट बन गया तो नहीं, polluter pays principle without considering adverse environment ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए. There should not be blanket exemption for government projects. बेस्ट प्रैक्टिस में लंदन ओलंपिक गेम्स, इससे भी अच्छा हमने देख लिया था कल की क्लास में पेरिस ओलंपिक गेम्स. ये हमने तब तक पेरिस ओलंपिक गेम पढ़ा नहीं था, हमने लंदन ओलंपिक गेम ही पढ़ा था. तो सो दैट वाज गिवन, बट पेरिस ओलंपिक गेम दीजिएगा, उसमें जो हमने कई सारे स्टेप्स लिए फॉर इन्वायरमेंटल इम्पैक्ट असेसमेंट, प्लीज मेंशन ऑल दैट. ओके, केस स्टडी में तीसरा प्रोजेक्ट दिया हुआ है. Environmental groups had filed cases in NGT and Supreme Court raising concerns that project will lead to flooding and glacial lake outburst. The case got dismissed because NHPC ने कहा था there is no chance of GLOF. In 2023, the GLOF happened. So what happens when you avoid environmental impact assessment? Very good example of तीसरा 3 project. Best practice में strategic environmental assessment कीजिए. It is a better tool than environmental impact assessment because EIA जो है end of the decision making cycle पे लिया जाता है, SEA जो है start में ही लिया जाएगा. It is a proactive approach rather than a reactive approach. Okay, so that is the first topic, EIA. Then now I'll be just guiding you on one topic, land. आप वाटर एयर सॉइल के लिए भी सेम थीम यूज कीजिएगा या सेम मेथड यूज कीजिएगा सस्टेनेबिलिटी को रिवाइज करने के लिए. सो लैंड में सस्टेनेबिलिटी में क्या आता है? रिसोर्सेज, लैंड रिसोर्सेज टाइप, लैंड यूज पैटर्न, चेंज इन लैंड यूज पैटर्न. सो लैंड रिसोर्स से रिलेटेड डेटा. लैंड रिसोर्स किसको कहते हैं? तो इट इज द आइडेंटिफिएबल पार्ट ऑफ अर्थ terrestrial surface which includes all areas immediately above or below the surface. It includes soil, lakes, rivers. यानी लैंड में लेक्स और रिवर्स भी आता है. ओके, 2 terms are utilized in land resource economy, land cover and land use. लैंड यूज सोशो इकोनॉमिक है, लैंड कवर जो है बायोफिजिकल यूज है. फिर डेटा हमने देखा 38% ऑफ लैंड इज यूज्ड इन एग्रीकल्चर, 30% इन फॉरेस्ट एंड 32% मिसलेनियस. इंडिया में अगर लैंड यूज देखा जाए तो 328 मिलियन हेक्टेयर है, उसमें से 46% नेट शोन एरिया है, 21% फॉरेस्ट एरिया है, रेस्ट आर अदर काइंड्स ऑफ एरियाज. किसमें इंक्रीज है, किसमें डिक्रीज है, दैट वी टॉक्ड अबाउट हियर. देन इश्यूज क्या है, लैंड से रिलेटेड इश्यूज क्या है? देयर इज प्रॉब्लम विथ एग्रीकल्चरल लैंड, देयर इज नथिंग ग्रीन अबाउट ग्रीन रेवोल्यूशन, सॉइल इरोजन हो रहा है, फ्रेगमेंटेशन ऑफ लैंड हो रहा है, मार्जिनल लैंड पे कल्टीवेशन हो रहा है, सैलिनाइजेशन एंड एल्कलाइजेशन ऑफ सॉइल हो रहा है. फॉरेस्ट एरिया में देयर इज डाइवर्जन ऑफ फॉरेस्ट लैंड फॉर इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर प्रोजेक्ट, देयर इज शिफ्टिंग कल्टीवेशन, लैंड राइट्स ऑफ ट्राइबल्स आर नॉट बीइंग रिस्पेक्टेड, देयर इज जनरल स्टैग्नेशन इन फॉरेस्ट एरिया. टारगेट हमारा 33 है, 21-22 के बीच में ही फंसे हुए हम. There is problem with non-agricultural land. There is artificial increase in prices. There is encroachment, land acquisition issues. सोल्यूशन में एग्रीकल्चर की प्रोडक्टिविटी को बढ़ाइए, लैंड हमारा फ्री हो जाएगा. अगर हम वाटर की प्रोडक्टिविटी पे बेस करेंगे तो 33% ऑफ आवर लैंड विल बी फ्री. न्यूट्रिएंट बेस्ड सब्सिडी स्कीम यूज कीजिए, एनपीके का रेशियो ठीक कीजिए, एग्रीकल्चरल लैंड ठीक हो जाएगा. फोकस ऑन एफिशिएंट क्रॉप्स, ऑर्गेनिक फार्मिंग कीजिए, चेंज इन एग्रो इकोनॉमिक कल्टीवेशन. पंजाब हरियाणा में राइस और व्हीट को मत उगाइए. ओके. देन फॉर अदर इश्यूज लैंड बैंक और लैंड लीजिंग कीजिए. गवर्नमेंट कैन मेंटेन लैंड बैंक एंड लैंड लीजिंग फॉर मीटिंग ऑफ द लैंड एक्विजिशन. कॉन्ट्रैक्ट फार्मिंग एंड नेशनल मोनेटाइजेशन पाइपलाइन आर सम ऑफ द बेस्ट प्रैक्टिसेस. Then land से related एक particular concern है land degradation and desertification. Its definition, statistics, impact, and land degradation neutrality that is being mentioned here. What are the causes of land degradation? Then what is the solution and land degradation neutrality of UN? There is a convention also with respect to land degradation. What are the steps taken by India? Then the Great Green Wall India is planning from Gujarat to Haryana. There is the Bonn challenge to bring 50 million hectare of world's deforested and degraded land into restoration by 2020 and 350 by 2030. Then a related topic with respect to land is land reform. ऐसे तो ये GS3 का ही है, but क्योंकि आप land के साथ कर रहे हैं, so you should be doing it in a holistic manner. What is the definition of land reform? What is the objective and constitutional provisions? Evolution of land reforms, the tools for land reform, tenancy, land sealing, land consolidation, cooperation. What are the challenges? And then the scheme: National Monetization Pipeline, Modern Land Leasing Act, Contract Farming, Swamitra Scheme. With this, you will be able to complete land sustainability as a pillar in its entirety. Same thing, please maintain for other dimensions. Okay. So sustainability अगर आप कर लेंगे तो उसमें से कुछ ना कुछ एक सवाल मिल जाएगा. I would recommend definitely do coral reefs, mangroves and biodiversity. हमने प्रहार में बायोडाइवर्सिटी डाला था, बट बिकॉज ऑफ एथिक्स 2 classes and then बीच में देयर वाज जन्माष्टमी, राखी, देयर वाज इंडिपेंडेंस डे, सो क्लासेस डिड नॉट हैपन ऑन दोस डेज. सो ये एक कुछ टॉपिक्स रह गए हमारे, प्लस करंट के कुछ टॉपिक्स लाइक वी हैड टू डू मराठा आर्किटेक्चर, वी हैड टू डू $5 trillion इकोनॉमी. सो सम ऑफ दैट हैज रिमेन्ड, बट अगेन आई वुड से दैट यूपीएससी में हमेशा कुछ ना कुछ छूटा रह जाएगा. जो आपके पास अभी तक है उसी को संजो लीजिए. जस्ट रिवाइज देम प्रॉपरली, प्रैक्टिस दीज प्रैक्टिस द कीवर्ड्स, प्रैक्टिस द diagrams, etc. And in the coming 2 days we will definitely be coming up with, like tomorrow we'll definitely be coming up with last minute tips and tricks for GS 1, 2, 3, 4 as well as essay paper. And on Friday you will have the regular essay class that will be by Shriman sir. Okay, tomorrow definitely we will be sitting for last minute tips and tricks, do's and don'ts, plus general motivation for mains for those who are giving and those who are not giving. दोनों लोगों को ही मोटिवेट करना है ताकि आप लोग फ्राइडे, सैटरडे, संडे यूटिलाइज करें as if you are giving the mains paper, regardless of whether it is in a UPSC center or at home or IAS Akademia center. Okay, so that is all. Thank you for being so patient and being able to revise for the last 2-3 hours all the topics very patiently, very diligently. If there is any doubt, please ask. Otherwise, we'll conclude. That will be all from my side. Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.